The Breakfast Flakes podcast brought to you by the Blue Cat Bar and Grill, next to the Roadside Event Center in Huntley. The Blue Cat, it's where it's at.
525, 4th April, Mark and Paul checking in, 44 downtown. Absolutely gorgeous day yesterday, and another good one today and tomorrow. Looks like 75 today, 69 tomorrow, and then some rain this weekend. I hear it every time I'm out, Paul. Well, your buddy's got to be happy with this moisture we're getting. I said, Paul doesn't have a place on the river, right? But whatever, comes with the territory. Talked to more people yesterday, and it's not just the additional tax bill. It's on top of what you're paying anyway, which is too much. Everybody with property is paying too much. The point Paul always makes, business owners don't get a vote. You get a vote for your house, but you don't get a vote for your business. And that friend of ours that owns a bar, in addition to what they're paying, theirs went up $1,100 on top of what they're paying.
That's right.
Buddy out in Briarwood, house is paid for between property tax and insurance, $700 a month. It cost him to live in a house that's paid for. And I see our buddy Kathy posted the numbers about the permissive levies that are increasing. Not a fan of permissive levies. I would like to vote. I would like the opportunity to vote every time there's a tax increase. Every time my daughter asks me for money,
You get to vote.
I get to vote. I get to ask some questions, and then I get to vote. But much like these permissive levies, she always walks away with money.
That's why we went to war.
Yeah.
Taxes. And you have people out there like Rose that wrote me that little comment last week when I did a thing about voting for liberal candidates, and this is what we get. And she likes listening to us, but disagreed with it. Well, I'll bet people like Rose and others who are on the extreme left or even moderate left, they don't like their property taxes going up. Well, then do something about it.
Yeah.
Why do you vote for people that are putting hardships on you? They're the ones implementing these policies. Mm-hmm. They're the ones spending the money. Folks, we do not have a revenue problem at all. Budget Accounting Office came out with new stuff yesterday telling America what our debt is going to be in the next 10 years, up to $54 trillion. And it'll get to the point where just servicing the interest on the debt will be $5 trillion a year, which is almost our total budget.
Right.
Don't keep voting for it. Folks, we do not have revenue problems. There's a movie, yesterday for Weird Wednesday, we did movies that make you cry. Mm-hmm. There was a movie out, and I don't know, I can't remember. It was many, many years ago. Maybe you people saw it. I think it was called Dave.
Oh, yeah, where they put in...
He looked like the president.
Yeah, Kevin Kline. Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Wasn't it called Dave or something like that?
Yeah.
And he looked like the president, so he went in and took the president's job, and he brought one of his buddies who was an accountant in there, and he says, I want to look at the budget. And he comes in, and it was funny, because he brings this book in, and he sets his book on the table, and it's like 3.5 feet tall. That's the budget. And folks, I don't know when this movie was made, but it had to be, Mark, in the 80s? And so he goes, I want to go through this budget, and he goes, I want to cancel all this stuff that these people in our country are paying for and we don't need. 1993. And they go through this, and he's canceling out all these things. Folks, that's what we need to do.
True.
And you keep voting for the people that don't do that. In fact, add all kinds of pork into these budgets. John Tester, you keep voting for him. He's breaking America.
I think there's an article on the Cat Country Facebook page. Donald Trump Jr. yesterday spoke somewhere and said people in Montana ought to punch John Tester in the face.
Mm-hmm. What he's done to us... Well, let me go to my Google thing here.
Liberal Senator John Tester had a lot to say about George Floyd, but has not said squat about Laken Riley, the young college student who was murdered by an illegal alien.
Well, sure. That's his party's... When John Tester, folks... When John Tester took office in 2006, all right, been there 8 years. Our budget was $2.7 trillion in 2006, all right? The one they just submitted that Chuck Schumer and John Tester won is $7.3 trillion, almost $5 trillion more than when he took office just 18 years ago. That's your buddy. That's him, folks. And we just aren't collecting enough in taxes. Does that sound like a taxing problem to you?
No, it does not.
What does that sound like, Mr. Wilson?
Sounds like a spending problem.
Thank you very much.
Put it on my credit card. I'll get to it later.
Mm-hmm. In 2006, when John Tester came to Washington, D.C. to change everything, our national debt, folks, in 2006 with John Tester was $10 trillion. A lot. Now, just 18 years later, as John Tester is your senator who votes for all these spending packages, now our debt is $34 trillion in those 18 years. Folks, Mr. Wilson, once again, another question.
Dang it.
Does that sound like a revenue problem or a spending problem?
Spending problem.
Spending problem, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's awful. It's awful. And you keep voting for them. And China, folks, China is the largest foreign holder of our debt. We owe China. China. Is there anybody that you know that has a cushy relationship with China whose he and his family members have been paid by China? Yeah, the guy running for president right now, Joe Biden. Spending. It's going to kill us. We'll go into economic hardship. We'll go into a depression. Our banks will default. We'll have so much debt. Imagine that, folks. $54 trillion in debt in just 10 years. We won't be able to pay. That's more than our military, Medicaid, Social Security, all that added up. That's more than that just to service the interest on the debt. Look what John Tester's doing to your children and your grandchildren. Why in the hell do you vote for him? That'd be a great question. Why are you voting for him? The man has no budget conscience whatsoever. We've got wide open borders. He supports Schumer on that. He hates, apparently, the Jewish people because he supports backing off, having Israel handcuff themselves, trying to do the dirty work of the world and wipe out a terrorist organization. Why do you support that guy? I don't get it. I don't get it. It's awful, folks. It's awful. We're in big doo-doo financially.
Yes, we are.
Our stock market, banks, FDIC, everything is going to implode. When you get to a debt so deep, so large, that all of the taxes we take from people won't even service the interest on the debt, then where's it come from? Then what happens when that bill comes due? It tanks. Everything craters. Done. Over. People our age, my age, and younger, we don't know what a depression is. We never suffered it.
No.
We weren't on the street standing in lines for miles just trying to get some bread or soup. Hanging off the cliff in Colorado with an air hammer and a rope thousands of feet off the floor of a canyon, chipping rock out just to make some money. The one thing that will be absolutely great for Americans during the Depression is you're all going to lose weight. The obesity problem will go down substantially. Oh, yeah. Did you see the size of the people during the Depression?
Yeah.
Folks, they were actually starving to death. You know what? You know, during the Depression, folks, they killed the animals in the zoos and they ate them. Imagine that.
People don't know that.
They don't teach that in schools. Yeah, they killed them. They had nothing to eat. They went to the zoos and they killed the animals. Killed them. Ate them. See you in a while, crocodile. See you later, alligator. You may have learned that yesterday, the difference between the two. Mark brought that up. One you see later and the other you see in a while. You dumbass. But they killed all the animals in the zoos and ate them. We're heading there. We'll never head. Okay. You just keep voting for these people and keep spending us into oblivion. Folks, we need to spend money on a couple things. A couple things. Since we started this stupid Social Security program and we got 300 million people now that are relying on it to live on forever. That was the day Social Security went bad was the day Roosevelt signed it, because everybody else always then saved for their own retirements.
Right.
They all were able to take care of themselves in their later years. So now we'd have to have it, and we have to have the Medicare program. I get it. We need a national defense program. Okay, so those three right on top of things. All right? For those of you John Tester supporters, unos, dos, tres. All right? Social Security, Medicare, national defense. Top three. Okay, let's fund those. All right. Great. What else are we going to fund now? Well, what else does a government need to be involved with that we can't handle at a state level? Education? No, we don't need a Department of Education. Well, we need an Internal Revenue Service. No, we don't. No, we don't. Not if we have the flat tax and everybody just pays on every dollar you make.
Which is the fair tax. And
That's
the left
right.
is always screaming about how life isn't fair.
That's all we need. Everybody sends it. You don't need, okay, wipe out that. Do we need a Department of Energy? Nope. Don't need that. Don't need that at all. Do we need the government to be into student loan business? Nope. We don't need that. That's what's driven the cost of college, folks, up through the roof. The government got involved. So they guarantee money. So the colleges raise their tuitions.
Yeah, because they can.
And they get it from the government. And the kids get it. 18-year-old kids could go in and borrow $30,000. And they don't have a pot to piss in. And they get them $30,000. And by the way, we'll just put that in your account. And you use your financial wisdom and your self-discipline at 18 to have $30,000 in there and use it properly. Yeah? What else? Tell me, what else do we have to have? Well, we need Customs and Border Patrol. All right, I'll give you that. We need that because that's for the safety of America. We need a little bit of the FDA and CDC to control and to analyze drugs and things like that to make sure they're okay and safe. I get it. What else? What else do we need that states, which, by the way, folks, the system was set up to give the power to the states, and we pay. See, folks, you don't understand this. We're getting it stuck right up our rectum because we're paying for the government to operate their systems. Yeah. And then, since we live in Montana, then we have to pay for Montana to operate our systems and government because then we do it. Oh, and if you live in Billings, then you have to pay for Billings to operate their systems and their government. Oh, and by the way, if you live in Yellowstone County, then you got to pay for the county to run their systems and government. Why in the hell do we have two governments in little old Yellowstone County that's got 170,000 people in it, Mark? Because they want it. And we fund all that. Folks, you see all this stuff we don't need? We do not have a revenue problem in America. We have a irresponsible, fiscally corrupt spending problem. Period. That's it. Who's going to fix it? Hell if I know, but I know John Tester won't, and I know all these other guys, Steve Daines, people like that have been there. Why in the hell aren't we getting any action on this? Why? You always cave. Don't you people have any testicles at all? You cave all the time. All the time. Well, you know, there's a lot of good in it. Yeah, but there's a lot of crap in it, too. I can eat a whole pizza, but if it has little jalapenos on it, it's going to cause me problems internally. If you know what I'm talking about, Wilson.
I think we get
Okay, then. So remove them.
Right.
And enjoy the pizza.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. But this is the way we've always done it.
That's right, Wilson. And we have nobody that has any guts at all that goes there. Nobody that will speak up. And if you do, you are railroaded out. They will get rid of you so fast.
Yeah.
It's become a business and a game of Monopoly to those people back there. They'll rid you out. Why do you think John Tester's lasted? He knows how many pimples are on Chuck Schumer's ass.
There's something you won't get on every radio.
Well, I don't care. He does. Fire me then.
No.
He does.
I know.
Passes every single thing that he wants. And that's how his bread is buttered. They used to have a name for people that did things like that for money in the old days.
They did.
And that's what he is.
Oh, absolutely.
No doubt about it. I'm fed up with just about all of them, to be honest with us. None of them have any guts, and we are all paying the price, every one of us. We don't need 50% of what the government does.
No, absolutely right.
No way. Things like national parks and other things, yeah, we need to preserve those. But, you know, we can pay for that through user fees, entry fees, things of that sort. And we can do it more efficiently and more responsibly. Why are we paying all these federal workers until they're dead? Why are they special and the rest of us all just a bunch of piss ants?
We got to fund our own retirement and theirs.
Yes. Why? That's not fair. And Mark, they make great wages.
Yeah. And get more holidays off than we do.
And we have to pay them till they're dead because that's the system they created. And they vote and they know what people will support it. And if you get a vote, they're going to grease you. It's awful, folks. $54 trillion in debt. Going to break us. I don't know how we're going to make it. Nobody worries about it. We live for the day. Nobody cares about it. One part of the problem, politics has become a career instead of a service to your country.
That's right.
And that was a big problem.
Well, and that's the moniker, too, and we've talked about this before. Well, I'm in public service. No.
You're not.
If it was public service, we wouldn't be paying you.
In North Dakota is putting a ballot measure, a constitutional initiative that will go to their ballot on June 11th. And on their ballot in North Dakota, they are going to limit the age of someone who can run for Congress. He said, according to some folks, though, even if it passes, which it will probably in North Dakota, that they'll challenge it to the Supreme Court.
Mark your calendar for some great events coming to the Roadside Event Center next to the Blue Cat Bar and Grill in Huntley. Join them for dinner and music Saturday, April 6th with Man and Tan and Mississippi Pot Roast. Tickets are $30 and available at the Blue Cat Bar. On April 12th, don't miss Kellen Smith and the Nate Champion Band. Live music continues with Clay Halos on Saturday, April 19th. Remember their amazing prime rib on Fridays and loaded Bloody Marys on the weekends. The Blue Cat Bar and Grill, just 9 miles east of the Metra exit.
The measure would prevent people from running for Congress if they turn 81 years old during their House or Senate term. 81. Average age of a congressman, I think, folks, now, and senator and congressman, I think it's around 65 right now. Okay. 81. You get 81. If you turn 81 while you're in Congress or Senate, you can't run. That's what the ballot initiative is in North Dakota. And it'll probably pass. And then that will go to the Supreme Court. And they'll have to think whether... And I can tell you how they'll rule on that. They'll probably rule that age limits have no bearing on rights.
Right.
That's probably how they'll rule on that. And if the people vote for someone that they want, then they vote for somebody that they want. So even though it'll pass, I think the courts would shut that down. In Montana, they want to put in a ballot initiative that would turn us into an open primary in Montana. Constitutional Initiative 126. What this would do is create open primaries. So what that means is an open primary. Some states do this. All candidates are on the same ballot during a primary election. They're all on the same ballot. And the top 4 vote getters then go to the election in November. That's how it works. Top 4 vote getters. That's what they want. That would mean that all of our major political offices, like our senators, representatives, governors, lieutenant governor, auditor, superintendent of public instruction, things like that, state legislatures, top 4 get on the ballot and you vote for the top 4. Now, I'll tell you what else they'll do, the tricky little people. They'll do like they do with the judges, and when we go to an open primary, they won't tell you which candidate is a D, and we know what that stands for, and which candidate is an R. Right. Or which candidate is an I, or which candidate is an L. They won't tell you probably. They'll just put them on the ballot. That's how these rogue judges get in there. And look what they just did. Mm-hmm. Shot down all the new voting rules that our legislature passed, signed into law, that would restore integrity to our elections. They just said, no, you can't do that. Why? Well, it favors their party. Ballot collecting, secondhand ballot collectors. Oh, don't worry if you didn't get it fill out. I'll make sure it gets there on time. What the hell kind of crooked ass thing is that?
The run-up on some of the delivery services had to change packaging so the people delivering the food were stop eating their fries.
Exactly.
And you're going to trust them with your ballot.
That's true. That's true. They'd stick their hand in the bag, have a couple hot fries.
Right.
Oh my God, Wilson. Folks, just keep telling yourself, we do not have a revenue problem.
No.
It's a spending problem. And no one is doing a thing about it, and government is growing as we speak by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Leaps and bounds. Government grows faster than any cancer you've ever seen in your life, and we have to get a handle on it, or we're doomed. We're doomed. That's right. Daggum government. I want to... They came out with the jobs report yesterday, and 184,000 jobs reported in March. And I'm trying to find the breakdown here on the numbers because I want to tell you folks how many government jobs were created. Last month, or the month before, yesterday's jobs reports, 57,000 government jobs. Folks, you know, new jobs. You know how much new spending that is? Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see what we have here. Yeah, I'm not getting a breakdown on this. Anyway, I'll try to find it later, but it's what the problem is. So we just spend, and we don't have people there. People like Jon Tester, all part of the problem, bankrupting us. They're getting fat in more ways than one, and it's not good at all. Had a machinery salesman stop by the house yesterday, asking me if I needed anything, and I said, "Well, I do, but I don't need anything you're selling." And you got to be careful. If I was like the government, yeah, I'll just buy it.
Right.
Don't worry about it. Don't even pay it off. Don't worry about it. You can't do that. Can't do those kind of things. The money we waste. And folks, let me ask a couple of you folks on the other side of the ticket. I got lots of friends who are Democrats, and I get along with them just great. How do you feel about all your tax dollars going to everybody who's sneaking into the country and getting a phone, getting a debit card, getting their housing taken care of, getting transportation and plane tickets to go to the city of their choice, getting educated, and you're paying for that? How do you feel about that? You can't find a place to live. You're complaining about housing costs in America.
Yeah, can't find affordable housing. No reason.
We've added 10 million more people into the market that snuck across the border that we've turned loose and given all of those services to. California, folks, free doctor services, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever you need if you're an illegal alien that sneaks into our country and breaks our federal law. You are a felon immediately, and we give you this. How do you folks on the other side of the ticket feel about paying for all them? Well, your property taxes just went up. Your income taxes. How do you feel about that? Paying for those folks. You're paying them. Excuse me, before you get any of your paycheck this month, we have to take some of that money out to give to all these people who are sneaking across the border and breaking our laws. How do you feel about that? Then why do you vote for those people then? How do you folks on that side of the ticket, Jon Tester supporters, how do you feel about your tax dollars going to Iran while Iran curtails oil production and controls the OPECers with Saudi Arabia and drives the cost of fuel up so high that you can only put $4 in, you liberals, before you buy your lottery tickets? Sticks it right up our rear end, and then the Democrats, Jon Tester, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, Antony Blinken, fund them with $10 billion of your dollars while they're wreaking havoc on our economy. And not only that, they're getting a nuclear weapon. And not only that, they're funding the terrorist organizations all around the world that are shooting missiles at your sons and daughters who are on our aircraft over in the Red Sea and in the Middle East trying to protect our trade routes, shipping, and our allies in that region. Your dollars are going to them, and they're trying to kill us.
Yeah.
How do you Democrats feel about that? Well, what? You must have plenty of money. Democrats are the richest people in the country. You must have plenty of money where you don't mind doing those kind of things. I know a lot of people who don't, and they're not happy about it. And don't forget what Jon Tester did. Jon Tester voted to take away the power of treaty from our United States Congress and put it in the hands of Barack Hussein Obama, a radical Islamist who was pro-Iran and negotiated his own treaty, which started this whole rat screw to start with. Cash. Remember the pallets of cash that went over there? Your cash, folks. Your people did that, Jon Tester. Your people. How do you feel about that? Folks, let's wake up. Really, let's all just wake up. Demand from these guys, you balance our budget. We have to have a balanced budget in Montana. Constitutional directive here. We cannot pass a ballot unless it's balanced. Why can't we do that nationally? Nope, can't do it. And then every year when we do pass our budget, you know what happens? They run out of money and we have to extend another omnibus bill, and they throw in all kinds of horse crap in that. The one we just passed 2 weeks ago, $1.2 trillion, another trillion, just to keep us running because we're too big, spend too much. We don't care. Just spend it. And they got the votes and the president signed it. Who the hell's on our side fighting back there? And nobody fighting for me back there.
No.
I think I know why they won't come in. Now that I think about it, Mark,
You know.
I think I know why they won't come in.
Well, they're never going to go to a place, because we've had politicians in here, and they've asked me about radio stations and other places in Montana. Do you know those guys, and how do they vote, and that kind of stuff? Politicians are not going to go to, you're not going to find liberal politicians that will ever come in here.
Yeah. Even the other ones say they're cautious about it. Hold their feet to the fire.
Right.
They work for you.
Mark your calendar for some great events coming to the Roadside Event Center next to the Blue Cat Bar and Grill in Huntley. Join them for dinner and music Saturday, April 6th with Man and Tan and Mississippi Pot Roast. Tickets are $30 and available at the Blue Cat Bar. On April 12th, don't miss Kellen Smith and the Nate Champion Band. Live music continues with Clay Halos on Saturday, April 19th. Remember their amazing prime rib on Fridays and loaded Bloody Marys on the weekends. The Blue Cat Bar and Grill, just 9 miles east of the Metra exit.
Folks, what part of public service don't they get? But until we wake up and get our head out of our butt, folks, never going to change. We're going to have big city governments in Billings, and we're going to have county governments too. We're going to have all kinds of government here locally that sticks it up your rear. We're going to have state governments, federal government, and we are all just going to keep footing the bill, and they'll just keep taking it because they've passed laws that enable them to do it.
And they've conditioned us.
And you'll raise your property taxes like they just did, and then everybody complains about it, but you don't vote in the right box for it. And it just keeps going on and on and on. Even the lottery. Nobody won the Powerball jackpot last night, folks. So the next jackpot will be $1.23 billion. Now, just imagine that. $1.23 billion. If you take the cash option, it's $595 million. So let's just say $600 million. All right? You're going to end up paying 40% taxes on that $600 million. 40%. So that's 200. Are you listening? That's $240 million in taxes you'll pay out of that $600 million. So by the time you're done, you're going to get $360 million of the $1.23 billion. And people don't care. Well, I got $360 million now.
No, and you're right. That's what to look at.
Yeah, out of $1.23 billion. They run the lottery like they run our government. So what happens to all that other stuff? Who wins? Governments win. The government just picked up $250 million in tax revenue when you win the lottery if you take the cash.
That's right.
$250 million, Wilson. And folks, with these kind of numbers, where in the hell's all our tax relief from this lottery money? Where'd that all go? I don't know. I don't know either. So it's frustrating. It's frustrating if you follow it. It's frustrating if you care about your country. It's frustrating if you bust your ass. And you folks that are up this time of morning, you're the ass busters out there. Getting started early, working hard, paying your bills on time, trying to save, trying to do some things in life that where you can enjoy yourself. It's frustrating to all of you. It's frustrating to all of you. The sad part is it's not frustrating to everyone, and it should be. Like I've said before, and I'll say it again. If you're struggling and you hate this and God, when's it going to end? Ask yourself this question. What do I blame my lack of success on?
Yeah.
Ask yourself that question. Nobody wants to ask it, but I'll ask it again. What do you blame your lack of success on? And look who's getting in your way, and look who is making it tough for you to save, hang on to your money, and pay the bills of every other freaking thing in this country, including over the past 10 years, 20 million people who have come into this country. In the last 3 years, 10 million. What do you blame the lack of success on? Is it Orange Man? No, because things were so much better. And if you don't believe it, great. You're a bullheaded SOB then, because you don't look at the numbers, Mark.
No.
Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, women in the workforce expanded and had the highest numbers ever of any presidency ever.
Right.
They were doing well. So now everybody is getting these bills, and now you folks all have to write an extra check to the Yellowstone County Treasurer, anywhere from an extra $200 to $400 to $600 to $800 to $1,000
On top of what they are already taking.
Mark, that poor woman called yesterday. It takes 1 month of her entire retirement to pay for half of her taxes. So Her taxes are $4,000. So that's 2 months of the year of her income just to pay her property. She's penalized for owning a home and doing it right. Mm-hmm. Not right. Not right at all. And that story can be heard everywhere in the county. Mm-hmm. Government people don't care. They get their checks paid for by all of us.
And their retirement, they got no worries.
That's right. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. They don't worry about it a bit. They just do what they're told because, once again, they're getting paid. We've determined what kind of people they are. They all should wear high heel boots and bikinis when they go to work, for God's sakes. Every single one of them, Mark.
I'm going to take my phone.
We better move on before I say something that I probably shouldn't.
There's already been two that I thought were going to be a little worse than what they were.
There has not been two.
Close calls.
So we'll see you in a while, crocodile.
Okay, first news coming up, 10 after 6.
The Breakfast Flakes podcast brought to you by the Blue Cat Bar and Grill, next to the Roadside Events Center in Huntley. The Blue Cat, it's where it's at.